Hey everyone, Steven here. Today we're going to do a MovNat home workout. This doesn't require any equipment. For anybody that's not familiar with MovNat, definitely check them out on Facebook, Instagram. Go to MovNat.com so you can find videos and sources where you can actually see what they do there. I'm a level 1 certified trainer. Started by Erwan LaCour, and it stands for Move Naturally. So these are natural movement skills that are actually like applicable to what you're going to do in the context of everything in the real world. So not just lifting a barbell or something like that, actually how you move within your environment, climbing trees, deadlifting things, stuff like that. So for this, like I said, you don't actually need any equipment. For those that know MovNat, this is going to be easier to do. If you don't, I would honestly say that you need to kind of look at the basis of the movements beforehand, because this might be a little bit more challenging for you with some of the stuff that we're going to do. But I'm going to give some progressions with some of these things for people that do know MovNat, and or at least some of these movements, they've seen them before and they want to try them out and practice on their own. So first group, you have 3 things, and you'll ultimately do 3 rounds. I'm just going to show you the first round with it, and then we'll move to the second group. It'll be the same thing, 3 things. You'll do 3 rounds, but I'm just going to show you the first one. So for the first group, you're going to need to get down into just a seated position on the ground like this. Feet are flat. And what we're going to do is we're going to transition into a shin box. It's called figure 4 shin box. I think campfire seat is what I've heard it called before also. But simply from here, all I'm going to do is drop my legs to one side of my body like this. And ultimately, the foot should stack on top of the leg. So I shouldn't be spaced out like this. It'll be stacked just like this. We'll be upright. For some people, just getting to this position, they can't even do it. They're so tight, they'll actually like kink like this. And they'll have to hold their body up, so they'll actually place the hand on the ground and they'll prop their body up like this, okay? And that's perfectly fine if you need to do that. Now, first thing that we're doing, we're going from figure 4 up into half kneeling, okay? And we're gonna go on either side. So what you'll do is from here, you'll actually need to pull your body up. So I'll actually kind of lean back and I'll reach my arms out and I'll actually pull as I thrust my hips forward to come up to here. From here, the back leg comes up. And then I am in half kneeling right now. I can actually lean on this. You'll actually see some of the MovNat stuff where they'll reach out. But I'm just gonna lean. I can stretch my glute, lean here, come back. And this is the harder part, because technically I could stand up from here, right? We're not gonna do that though. I'm gonna take this leg, I'm gonna wrap it back around here, and then I can sit back down like this, all right? You wanna give yourself enough space, because you're actually gonna go back and forth between either side. For the transitionary part right here, what you're going to do is you're actually going to pick up both your legs like this, you'll balance on your butt, and then you'll shift over to the other side, all right? And this is my tighter side, so I usually have a tendency to kink a little bit more on this side. So I'm usually conscious of trying to make sure that I stay as upright as I can. Now, for people that can't balance and do this part, okay, all you have to do is come back to here, keeping your feet on the ground, and then transition to the other side. This is actually a hip mobility drill that we'll usually do, just like this, okay? But pick up, we'll place, and then you're gonna do the same thing, lean back, reach, pull, and then I'll bring my body up, and I can lean, stretch, back, and then come down like this, and you're literally just gonna go back and forth, just like this, okay? And for this, you'll ultimately do this 10 times, right? 5 per side. And if you want more of a challenge, you could do it so that you did the 10 per side, so that'd be 20 total. And usually, I'll try to slow it down a little bit too, focusing on form, how my body feels. And these in-between ones, slowing that down, which is going to require more stabilization out of your body, right? In MovNat, one of my favorite things that we tell people is speed hides inefficiencies. We usually see this with the balance and a lot of other movements. So if you're not really good at something or struggling with something, you'll try to speed up. So be mindful here. We can slow all of this down, right? And work on those in-between parts of the movement that a lot of people aren't working on, right? That are going to be harder to maintain. That just in and of itself takes the whole thing up a notch to slow it all down and to kind of work on that space that's in the middle of the movement, not just the beginning and the end, right? Boom. All right, so that was the first part. Like I said, either 5 per side or 10 per side. Next, what we're going to do is a lateral crawl. So crawling back and forth sideways. This is a contralateral pattern. Opposites are moving together, not same side, which is ipsilateral. So we're not moving the same side. We're moving opposites together, okay? So for this, you'll get down on all fours. If you have to practice and you're new to this, you can actually just stay in a hand-knee crawl position, right, where we're on the knees. And if I'm here, this is my left hand, I would pick up my left hand to move it out, and then my right knee would come in, and then my right hand would move in, like this, and my left knee would move out. Just like this. Contralateral, not same side, doing this. That is ipsilateral. We don't want that, okay? So, that would be a hand-knee position. If I'm going to go to hand-foot, we just bring the knees a couple inches off the ground, okay? So, if this is hand-knee right here, hand-foot, literally bringing the knees just a couple inches off the ground. Okay? Pick a distance. Pick the size of a room, whatever you have to work with, or you can count paces. I'm literally just going to do the length of this room right here. I have the little chest thing that's blocking the edge right there, but I'm just going to stick with this. Ideally, depending on how long it is, you would do a couple rounds of this, meaning you would do 2 to 3 laps, all right? So, I'll start here. Slow and controlled, focusing on the same thing, which is that speed, height, movement, and efficiency. So if you're not good at this, you'll try to speed up. As you do that in these movements, your brain will get confused. And as it gets confused, you usually go back to moving in an ipsilateral pattern, meaning trying to move the same side. So slow this down so that you can kind of wrap your head or your brain around what's going on. Good. So that would be one trip. I'm going to do one more. I'm going to do 2. I want to talk about another thing. Hand position. Elbow pits face forward. I don't want my elbows out so that I buckle. Okay. So hands ultimately tilt out just a little bit. Elbow pit is always trying to face forward, so I have a more stable shoulder. Hand under the shoulder, knee under the hip. So I'm not pulled in on myself, and I'm not too pulled out too far, okay? There we go. Slow and controlled. And then obviously with this position, I'm feeling my shoulders, but my lats, my chest, my legs, my core. Hand-foot crawl in any position, depending on what you're doing with it. I mean, it's just my favorite movement. Most strenuous, and you don't need any equipment with it, okay? So, that's going to be our second exercise. 2 to 3 trips, depending on the length of the room, okay? After that, last thing, the third thing in this group was we're going to do rocking to half kneeling. So with rocking, sitting on the ground, some people might just need the prep of learning how to rock because we need to pull our body in tight on ourselves, which a lot of movements, deadlifts, we tell you to keep your chest up. So this is like the complete opposite to that. With this, I wouldn't want my chest up because as I lean back, I wouldn't want it so that my back just goes boom and hits really, really hard, right? So I need to round my back so that as I go back, I rock and then I can come back up. A ton of cool things that you can do with this in terms of shifting your hips so you go in a circle one direction or the other direction, which is really, really difficult on your core. Requires a lot of strength. Just going up and down in the practice of that is very, very difficult. So for some people, they might just be there, just practicing this, right? Ultimately, I want my head to be able to just lightly kiss the ground, boop, and then come back up. Maybe you're just there. And if you are, you're going to do 10 to 20, right? Just focusing on here and then coming up. Some people initially need to grab the legs. That's okay, but eventually progressing to not needing to do that. Okay? But for those that are up for the challenge and that are there, or we can do that next step, you're actually going to go from here, and as I come up, I'm going to cross, and I'm going to bring one knee down and the other foot on top, okay? And I'm actually going to pull up and come right here, half knee, and then I'll go back. Arms go out as my counterbalance, hips down, up, and then I'll go to the other side, here. And that's it. Now for this, we can do 10. Like I said, if you're at this point, you do want more of a challenge, I would prefer 20 total. So alternating, which is going to be 10 per side, okay? Back like kiss to the ground with my head, up here, shifting those hips back, up, and then doing the other side, just like that, okay? So, 3 rounds of everything I just showed you, okay? You'll do all 3, you'll take a breather for a minute, and then you'll hop right back in and you'll start over. You will get super tired, super sweaty. If you're new to this and you're just kind of trying out these movements, you might just find it's kind of hard just getting into the form of this, and that's where I do think you need to seek out a certified MovNat trainer so that they can specifically be there to help you with all this. And one of the things that I like is that you'll notice is that get your brain tired. It really, there's a lot going on neurologically with you trying to connect to the movement and using your brain. I think it's Carlos Conduit had a great interview with him when he was training with Erwan, the founder of MovNat, and he was talking about training for his UFC fight, and got to the end, and he would be like neurologically drained. He would be super tired, and maybe not physically because he's such a high-level athlete, but just neurologically just wiped out because there's a lot to think about. There's a lot going on that your brain has to process with this. So do the 3 rounds, do the 2 to 3 rounds, and then we're going to move on to the second grouping of exercises here in a second. Alrighty, part 2, or the second section on this workout. A little bit more advanced techniques with this. So hopefully, like I said, everybody understands and knows some of the MovNat movements at this point if they're watching this video. Shoulder crawl to inverted crawl is the first thing that we're doing, right? Laying on the ground and crawling with our shoulders into an inverted crawl. Most people know that as a crab walk. We call it an inverted crawl. And then after that, we're going to do lift ups in a hand-foot crawl position, and then we'll ultimately finish with some tripod transition type stuff. Okay, so same thing. You're going to have the length of a room. I'm going to lie on my back. I'm going to lie straight down. Go the length of the room. You get to dictate how many times you're going to do this. Hopefully 2 to 3 laps with this. Now, still a contralateral pattern. What I'm going to do is I'm going to pull my one shoulder up. I'm going to pull my left shoulder up. I'm going to put it on the ground. I'm going to lean to that side a little bit, right? I don't need my arms up. This is for crawling under something that's really, really low, right? And I have to get under it. As I do that, I'm going to bring my right knee up a little bit so that my heel's on the ground, so that I'll actually lift my body up, and then I can push like that, and I raise my body up. I'm pulling my shoulder down and pushing off my heel. And then you'll go to the other side. So now I'm prepped so that that right shoulder goes up, makes contact with the ground, and then I'm going to kick off with that one. Initially, you probably won't pick your body up that high, and you'll drag your shirt and it'll start to choke you a little bit, so you have to reset every time. You need to work on the notion of picking the body up so that I'm not touching the ground right here, right? But I'm also not lifting my body way high in the air, okay? So, just like that. Once you get to the edge of the room, you'll prop up, you'll go into an inverted crawl. Hands under the shoulders, pulled up high, not sinking down like this. Still a contralateral pattern. Opposites moving forward like this now. Nice, controlled, not trying to speed through that. You get to the edge of the room, lie back down, and then go again. Drop up, and then back down. Like I said, you could do this for reps, meaning how many times am I moving on each side, or just the length of the room if you don't want to sit there and worry about it. So, we have that first. Ideally, 2 to 3 laps of a room. If you're going to dictate reps, make sure it's an even number because you have the 2 sides. So 10, 20, 30, whatever it is. Now, Next we have lift ups with a hand foot crawl position, which we've already covered in the first part. So you're literally going to get in that position again, like this. Make sure you're in alignment, and then all you're going to do is literally lift up the opposite hand and the opposite foot. So literally lift up, here, up. So it's essentially like, almost like marching in place. I'm just doing this, okay? A momentary pause for control. And I'm trying not to like shift my weight too much. That way I'm working on the stabilization in the movement, right? And for this, I want you to do 30 to 40 lift-ups, which ultimately boils down to 15 to 20 per side, but I'm alternating, okay? That's the second exercise. Take your time with it, don't rush, all right? A progression is if I'm here and I can't do that, just the notion of connecting to that, I could be in a hand-knee position, right? Just doing that, picking up, pausing, owning that, okay? And then last, we're going to work on a little bit of a tripod transition. We're not going to do the full tripod transition. Leg outs is what I've heard them called before. We're really just working on the notion of pulling the leg through the body. Balance beam is something good to have for tripod transition and working on your balance. And we use the tripod transition for getting up and down off the ground, getting up onto something, getting down from something. Vaulting is ultimately what it leads to. For this though, like I said, this is part of a tripod transition. I also call it a leg out. And what you're going to want to do, you can almost match up with how I am on the camera for this. Whatever leg is extended, that same arm is on the ground, okay? My other knee is bent in, right? So let's pretend I'm here. I literally will lean to the side and go like this. And I'm actually going to pick my body up. So this is my left hand and this is my right foot. I'm going to pick my body up, and then I can ultimately pull my body through to hand foot crawl position, right? Just like that. Boom, right there. This is actually one way that we practice getting up, and this is how I teach some of my clients. We'll go in here, and from this I can actually walk myself back up into a deadlift and then stand up. Walk my hands out. Come out and through. We're just going to practice that bottom section though, and you're going to go back and forth between sides. So here, pick up, pull through, place, and then I need to lift those opposites, twist, my back foot is twisting, extend out, and I'm down like this, okay? That is it. Slow and controlled, not super fast. If you need to pause on each segment of it, I would recommend that until your brain understands what's going on, meaning pull in and pause, lift up, pause, twist, extend, sit and pause, right? So that's going to be the leg out. For that, what I want you to do is 10 to 20. So either 5 per side or 10 per side, which is going to be your 10 to 20 reps total, okay? That whole thing, you're going to do 3 rounds of that, and then that's going to be your workout. Some people might just practice the first section, and they might just do that for the 3 rounds. They're like, okay, I'll come back again. You can use this as a learning tool, but you can also use this not only as the workout, but to show that you're making progress in it. So if you only did the first round, or the first group, the 3 times, and you couldn't even get to this, a couple weeks down the road, maybe you do, and maybe you knock this out, and it's easier for you, okay? Hopefully you are getting the 2 to 3 rounds on both groups though. So that is the MovNat home workout with no equipment needed. If you guys like what you've seen, please hit the subscribe button. I'm going to try to come out with more of the MovNat stuff, the home workouts. I'll put a link to my Udemy course where I cover some of this also. And I actually give it's a whole home workout program where you don't need any equipment. So you can actually work out at home without having to get a gym membership, and it really is for anybody that just can't afford that or doesn't want to go to the gym and they want to start in their house. So thank you guys so much for watching. Like I said, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. I'll be pumping out more of not only these videos, but I have a plethora of other videos covering medical exercise stuff that I do for anybody that has an injury, the MovNat stuff, supplement reviews, just talking about the industry in general, and then fitness gear reviews as well. So thank you guys again so much for watching.